When speaking of Lyft, many people are familiar with the name. However, being a familiar brand does not mean that Lyft is strong, which highlight Lyft's current problem. That is, they are having a hard time differentiating themselves from their biggest competitor, Uber, who came into the market first and capture enormous sharehold of the market. So coming into the market with the same platform model, Lyft struggled to escape from being referenced to Uber's alternatives. The impact on Lyft is making it a challenge for them to create a competitive advantage over Uber. A solution, however, for Lyft is to attract, retain, and expand, and through what rewards program. Where they can definitely attract loyalty within their users and cheaper rates at specific facilities such as airport or bus stations for offering cheaper rates, and also collaboration to initiate autonomous vehicles to expand ride options to offer more premium services. And an obvious opportunity from this solution is Lyft's potential to expand to not only within the market in the US, but is well positioned for international expansion as well. Through the different collaboration, Lyft can expand its web hardware and tech partnership with contracts from different automobile brands, high-tech app services partnership, and knockdown of rates in different transportation facility, making them even more competitive than before. So a deeper look into the Pink Mustache ride-sharing company is they are a growing transportation network company offering from car rides, scooters to bicycle sharing system. Currently, Lyft is operating up to 640 cities within the US and 9 in Canada. Lyft offers the most convenient services through their Lyft app mobile, where customers from a click of a finger can book their rides, schedule rides at any time, and even handle transactions within. Within the market, Lyft's current stance is being the second dominant player in the transportation industry, holding 31% of the market share as of 2019. The target market is tech-savvy users and smartphone users, and this can range from students, professional, or even people in a rush. So referring back to Lyft, is they're in an emerging growth stage, meaning that the company is open to a lot of potential. Given that Lyft operate only in the US and Canada, they have the advantage of having a higher revenue per ride compared to average revenue per ride in emerging market, which is lower, resulting to the likelihood of increasing 50% gross revenue in global market share. And not to mention that they revenue have doubled from the previous year from 2.16 billion, and even bookings surpassed up to $8 billion in 2018, equivalent to a 76% increase more than previous year. So how does Lyft become Lyft? Before Lyft, it was Zimride that started off back in 2007, and later in 2012 is when Lyft launches in San Francisco, not as a standalone, but a service of Zimride. And in 2013 is when Lyft really branded on its own, and Zimride is sold off to another enterprise. And fast forward in 2019, as Lyft expanded to even more cities, having more races, the company became a public company via an initial public offering, establishing them to be the first ride-sharing company to go public. Lyft is a growing company, but is still facing obstacles in being the dominant shareholder in the industry, considering that they are the second mover in the market and is relatively new to the market.
The board at Lyft consists of Logan Green. He is the co-founder and CEO. He became the CEO in 2012 of previously held company Zimride. His base salary is at $400K. John Zimmer, he's the co-founder and president of the company. Became the president in 2012 and was involved in building the company's infrastructure. His salary is non-disclosed. Jonathan McNeil, he's the Chief Operating Officer, was named COO in 2018. He was previously the president at Global Sales and Services, and he's the company's entrepreneur, innovator, and he has 8 post-success businesses that are under his belt and can give advice to the execs. His salary is at $419K. Brian Roberts, finally, Chief Financial Officer. He joined Lyft in 2014, and before that was the Senior Vice President of Partnerships and Corporate. He has extensive studies in the subject accounting, finance, economy. and so based off of that, he was pretty good for the job. Salary is non-disclosed as well. So the organizational structure at Lyft, Lyft is headquartered in San Francisco and operates as a transportation network business or a rideshare business. Um, the infrastructure at Lyft manages from the top down, so the CEO crafts the business strategies and passes them down to lower management to follow. Um, and the upper management organizational structure is very centralized with limited global offices. This is to cut down on property expenses, but they also go on road trips, which I will explain a little bit further. Um, they have a decentralized middle to lower management, and this is simply because they want their drivers to be their own bosses and to have somewhat of like a sort of autonomy within their environment. This helps with performance on the job. Lyft only hires the most skilled and experienced drivers as well to ensure consistency, safety, and performance to grow the company on a steady pace. Um, and with drivers, they have a customized app that will answer any questions the driver may have. It also has features like drivers' needs and riders' convenience, as well as how close in proximity a driver is to a rider. And Lyft is also committed to improving that application by introducing one new feature enhancement each month. Um, and so, talking about the road trips, executive members have traveling offices and they go on road trips from city to city to spend time with their drivers to ensure that everything is working properly. The design considerations, it's vertical at the corporate level, and the information and orders are from the CEO, so top-down mentality as well. A horizontal middle management, work gets distributed among the drivers based on need and availability, location as well. And there's no direct supervision. Based off of that, 598 reviews were taken, and in total, leadership scored 71 out of 100, management was 67 out of 100, and the execs got 73 out of 100.
Lyft is from the ride-sharing segment of the transportation industry. This segment of the industry competes with taxi services and public transportation services. The ride-sharing segment is different from the taxi and public transportation segment of the transportation industry in that prices change quickly and are dependent on consumer demand more than anything. And employees are more like contractors rather than hired taxi drivers. There are two primary competitors in this segment, Uber and Lyft, who collectively really dominate the majority of the market just by themselves. You can see in this slide, Lyft owns 28.4% of the market share in the U.S. ride-sharing segment of the transportation industry, and Uber owns 69.2%, while all other alternatives, not including taxi and public transportation, but other services like Uber only own 2.4%. And so, kind of analyzing the five forces of the industry, this means that there's a really low threat of new market entrants. It's really hard for people to get into this market, new entrants to get in this market, because Uber and Lyft are already so dominant of what's going on. In addition, there's a low bargaining power of suppliers, because suppliers are really almost non-existent. The business is dependent on employees, drivers, and customers. And so there's not really much of a bargaining power of suppliers. With that being said, there is a high bargaining power of buyers. Buyers and consumers and customers really are the ones who determine the prices at which Uber and Lyft are able to set their services. They really drive the price. And so there's a high threat of the bargaining power that they have. there is also a high threat of substitutes. While new market entrants into that segment, there's a low risk of that. There is a high threat of substitutes with taxi services, light rails, government transportation systems being built, public transportation, buses, you name it. That being said, looking at the blue ocean strategy, what's really going to be important for them is looking across time and how technology is changing. One thing that's kind of on the radar right now is autonomous vehicles. And technological innovation has already been such a big part of their business as they've been so dependent on phone development, web development, app development. And so they'll need to continue to look across time to see where technology is going in order to be successful. Regarding corporate social responsibility, CSR, they're looking to make a lot of environmental changes by lowering CO2 emissions. Their goal is to lower it by 5 tons every year from now until 2025 per year. And they aim to have 1 billion rides in electric autonomous vehicles by that year. And so, as for their competitive position, Lyft is not as big as Uber and came after Uber. So Lyft is following a second mover strategy in which they're trying to replicate but improve on work that has already been done by Uber. They're taking a pretty broad market strategy. They've been developing multimodal transportation platforms like scooters, the Lyft scooters that are going around, and different types of Lyft ride services. And so they're going to need to continue to do this in order to be competitive and get an edge over Uber.
Up next, we have the SWOT and VRIO analysis of the intra-firm activities. Some strengths that Lyft has are value and lower fares, as well as a straightforward experience for their riders. Lyft possesses a rarity of entering new markets that are emerging around the world. Lyft has the opportunity to exploit their unique safety precautions to gain trust. Weaknesses. Lyft's app is not up to par with competition. It's going to take time and money to improve the app. Lyft has a better peak time rates, and the increased demand for low prices during this time leaves them short-staffed. Opportunities. Lyft needs to exploit their superior tipping structure to attract additional drivers. Lyft should also promote its ability to be trusted by the public. Threats. Uber is dominant in the marketplace, serving 700 cities, while Lyft serves 350 cities. There is a risk of Lyft being pushed out by its larger competitor. Uber also offers a wider range of vehicles, while Lyft is currently playing catch-up to these options. The analysis of relative costs. This was performed on an analysis of a ride from Puyallup to SeaTac Airport at 6 o'clock in the evening. Lyft charged $52.28, while Uber charged $56.58. Lyft has higher sales and marketing overall. Uber has been in the market longer, and Lyft needs to spend more to attract customers. Lyft has lower administrative costs, but Uber is 5 times bigger than Lyft as far as the amount of employees. Both companies spend relatively the same on research and development. Both are exploring autonomous vehicles. Lyft's service fee is 20%, which is their cut of each ride. Uber charges 25%. The lower general administrative costs mitigate the high negative margin, but sales and marketing result in a higher negative margin. Neither are profitable. Willingness to pay. The segment we studied was business travelers ages 30 to 55 from $80,000 a year to $220,000 a year with a minimum bachelor's degree. These individuals live in residential areas without mass transportation. They buy and seek quick, safe experiences at a reasonable cost. The following are the rank of the willingness to pay. Timeliness, accessibility, price, brand image, and ride options. The most important is timeliness, being able to arrive on time and depart on time. Accessibility, being drivers being available in residential areas outside the city. Lyft has the shorter prime time zone. Uber charges 700 to 800% additional during prime time zones. Brand image, Uber has negative news for scandals. Ride options, larger vehicles, as well as luxury options. Is Lyft a good place to work, and would I buy the stock? We collectively agree that Lyft is a good place to work, and based on all of our research, we would purchase the stock ourselves. When compared to Uber, Lyft is clearly the better choice.